Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. The fact that some people think that Black people owe them something is just quite unfortunate because for a white woman to come out and use her platform to let people know that Black people aren't doing enough in this present regime shows how dumb and ignorant you are because you, in particular, had an opportunity to use your platform to tell people to vote for the right candidate, but you did not do it. You voted for Justine, and now you guys are seeing the evidence of what you guys voted for. Now it is Black people that it's your problem. I suggest that you all go back and take a stock of all you guys have done so far, the harm you guys have done to so many people, and all that. When you're done with that, you can come back and talk to Black people. And I want you to also know that when Black people say back off, that means back off. The problem is that you all did not listen. Especially, how can you be a white woman? You are pro Palestinian and you are still in America. Why not pack up your things and move? And I am not seeing you people protesting over some certain things going on in Yemen because they have been poo-pooing them. You are okay with this administration, right? But you are not okay with Black people coming out to speak up over what this administration, how badly they've been treating people, including the Palestinian, that you are a pro-Palestinian. That is to tell you how crazy you are. When somebody is dumb, man, that person is dumb. Let's get into this video.
Cory Booker being Black does not make him above criticism. And I don't care how much someone tries to gaslight me about that. It doesn't make him above critique. And yes, that's exactly what some people were trying to say to me yesterday. That because of the fact that I criticized Cory Booker, that was anti-Black, that you can't criticize him. And that if I say, I don't agree with you, I don't agree with you, he's not above criticism, and then you turn around and say, oh no, that's anti-Black, and you need to go sit in your room and reflect on that. Because this one person literally said that. They're like, oh, well, you're not listening to Black people. No, no. Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean that I'm not listening. And what does that even mean? Who? Black people are not a monolith. They don't all agree that Cory Booker is based. But then saying that and then claiming that me not agreeing with you about Cory Booker is anti-Black and I need to go think about what I've done. I'm allowed to disagree with you. I'm allowed to criticize Cory Booker, and you trying to push me into a different position is, yes, manipulative. And I'm fresh out of patience for that kind of manipulation, because you're not going to try to convince me or gaslight me into believing that it is somehow wrong to try to hold Cory Booker accountable to his own word. Unanimous consent on Trump's nominees, and then the next day goes and votes to send more weapons to the Israeli regime. More weapons to kill Palestinians after he said this was a moral moment. Cory Booker being Black does not make him above criticism.
And some might say that it being modern times doesn't stop you from looking like a medieval whore. Hello, here's your picture. Not me though, I'm no bully. In fact, this is another episode of me preparing others for bullying and what people might say. This is a part 2 for you, because you haven't learned to shut the fuck up about Black people, some might say. Yes, some might say you do have the hairstyle of a whore in a whorehouse who opens her whore hole to accept men inside of you. And all the town's wives hate you because their men come and do their unimaginable kinks on top of your body. And that's why your hair looks like that, broken at the ends from all that rolling around the hay you've been doing. Some would say that if they were bullies, but not me. I'm just preparing you. Some might say, why the fuck would we want to listen to the opinion of someone that looks like a walking light bulb, whose other function is for people to leave donations of hair on top of, from different donors, I imagine, some with short and some with long. And they were all on drugs. You can tell by the quality of the donated hair on top of your head. Some would say that if they were bullies, and your comment section is full of comments like these. Probably. I'd probably see that if I were to go look. But you need to stop bullying that donated hair with those scissors. It's not right. It's not okay. Some might say. And I'd say too if I was a bully, but I'm not. Maybe you should keep your plastic-filled lips off of black people, is what some might say. In fact, I would say it, but only to stop your future bullying that no doubt is coming from people that aren't me. And before you turn up your surgically altered nose at me, remember, you had the option not to talk shit about black people when we asked you to, but you chose to continue. And here I am, helping you out, preparing you for the inevitable bullying. You're welcome. I know you like it when black people do what you need them to, like slaves. 10 out of fucking 10.
Cory Booker being black does not make him above criticism. And I don't care how much someone tries to gaslight me about that. It doesn't make him above critique.
White people need to keep black people's names out of their mouths as much as possible. White people need to keep black people's names out of their mouths as much as possible. White people have not done enough work collectively nor individually in unpacking their racism. And as a result, white people can never truly be sure if whether or not their critique is rooted in a valid critique or rooted in their racism. We are all raised in a racist society. That shit is interwoven into every piece of fabric of this society. Black people, we have to unlearn our own internalized racism despite being the target of said racism. So white people, especially who are the beneficiaries of said racism, who have had that shit force-fed, spoon-fed to them since they were born, especially have some unpacking to do. And it's quite bold when white people act like they have liberated themselves, they've done the work, they read some bell hooks books, okay? They read about white privilege, and so now they have completely eliminated any bias that they have rooted in racism, and so they can clearly see the world, especially clearly see black people. When simultaneously, Negroes like myself have to unpack our own internalized racism, but somehow y'all got the magic key. If black people are telling you to chill and to back the fuck up off of us and to back the fuck up off of our people, then you need to listen. You need to not be defensive and think that, oh, well, because I read a few books and I've done some unpacking, that I'm gonna tell the collective of black people who have stood up to call me in, I'm gonna tell them that they're fucking wrong, that me as a white person, I know better. Y'all crazy as fuck. White people have not collectively done the work to earn the right to critique black people. Do you hear me? Your critique may be valid. Your critique may be rooted in racism. And white people have not collectively or individually done enough work to be able to determine the difference. Hence why you're supposed to listen when black people call you the fuck out. And if I touch your hand to tell you something, then you better motherfucking listen. You better have some humility and listen. Because even your lack of humility and your defensiveness in and of itself, assuming that black people don't have enough sense to be able to call out and to see problematic behavior rooted in racism, that in and of itself is indicative of the work you still need to do to unpack your internalized inherent racism. When black people tell you to shut the fuck up about black people, shut the fuck up. That's not to say that you can't have critiques of black people, but they should be minimal at best. If your content on here is critiquing people, black people should take up about 3% of that. If that. And if you make a critique about black people and multiple black people come out to tell you that, hey, baby, you might want to take a step back. You might want to fall back a little bit. You need to fucking fall back. White people, you do not know better than black people do. Full stop. Full stop. I was gonna say about racism, but to be quite honest, full stop everything. You do not know better than us, especially black women. We are the only motherfuckers on this planet with sense. We are the only motherfuckers on this planet with clear vision. When we tell you something, motherfucking listen and act accordingly.
In regards to this Cory Booker being performative conversation, I typically don't engage in leftist versus liberal content on here because it really feels like a scheme set up by Todd, because out of all the groups that should be fighting each other, especially in a moment like this, it shouldn't be those two. But somehow on this app, it always becomes that, and that's very indicative of the time that we're in. But nonetheless, there is something in particular about leftists that really do get on my nerves, and that's when liberals will say to leftists, how come y'all don't come at Republicans as hard as you come at Democrats? And leftists will argue until they're blue in the face that they equally come at both parties, when we all know that is not the case. And often the response from leftists is, yes, we do. Y'all just don't want to hold Democrats accountable. And it's like, actually, I'm all for that. Okay, I'm actually in the camp that had the Democratic Party did what they were supposed to do with that man 4 years ago when he had a whole insurrection, we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. Like, I'm all for holding them accountable. But somehow the Republicans have been in power for the last 2 months, and all I see leftists do is complain about Democrats not doing anything. Where are they? And here's the thing. Hey, I'm in that camp. I've been complaining about them too. So then Cory Booker actually decides to do something, and now it's performative. Is politics not a performance? Is this not all performance art? Is that not what the purpose of all of this is? If we're being honest, Democrats don't have any actual legal power right now. The best they can do is perform to try to get people to want to vote for them. That's literally it. That's the extent of their power. It's like you ask them to do something, they're finally doing something, and then it's not good enough. And this is my thing. When this conversation is had, it's always a disingenuous conversation because they cannot be honest about the fact that the tactic that they are using is they go harder at Democrats because they feel like it is easier to pull them to their side than the Republicans. Why would they go at somebody who is on the complete opposite side of the spectrum as opposed to somebody who is kind of on their same side and they can pull more in that direction? It makes logical sense, but you can't even have a discussion about the tactic and whether or not it's effective because they won't admit that that's a tactic in the first place. And if we're being honest, I think that a lot of leftists have way more contempt for Democrats than they do Republicans because they feel like Democrats are like liars about their moral ethic. Whereas low-key, they have a lot of respect for Republicans because they feel like Republicans actually stand on business about their terrible beliefs. Which is why they say that like the leftist to right-wing pipeline is a circle, because like it's like when you get so far over, you kind of start to see the other side's point. But that's a conversation for another day. I say all that to say is that I want leftists to be honest about their tactics and their wants and their needs to liberals so that maybe there can actually be a middle ground to be had instead of being disingenuous about the tactic in the first place.
Cory Booker being black does not make him...
Now, Chopped, you know good and goddamn well no one said that to you. And if they did, post a comment. Post it. The reason you made that video is because you know the app will jump on anything that is against black people, just like your parents and your grandparents. The same way you're criticizing Cory Booker, I promise you that your grandparents were criticizing Martin Luther King. Just like your parents were criticizing Obama. They're politicians. Nothing about them. Who the fuck said that he was a good person because he was a politician? I swear to God, people were talking about the fact that he was trying to block a bill and trying to just waste time to impede the Republicans because in Congress, time is everything. That is the whole fucking point. No one said that he got up there and parted the seas and now everyone is equal. And you guys insult our intelligence by saying this type of shit because I promise you, no one thinks he was a savior, just like no one thought Kamala Harris was a savior. We just know that in this time, if she was elected, the world would not have been globally protesting her. We wouldn't be entering a recession. People wouldn't be going to Guantanamo Bay because they're immigrants here illegally. Like, you guys are so busy focused on this fucking thing because it's in your DNA to criticize progress and anything that has to do with equality. And I wish you would figure it the fuck out and stop making it black people's problem. And newsflash, whenever you look around and you see that your opposition is black people, historically, you are on the side of the oppressors, the raging Republicans, and you are doing nothing but aiding in their fight to keep the world the same fucking place. And I think you guys know that, which is why you do that. You made Palestine your end-all be-all, and now you're not even talking about Palestine when they're being invaded and troops are on the ground pushing them out now. They're pushing them to Egypt. And y'all not even talking about them. No one's talking about the fact that they're bombing Yemen. Y'all are talking about Cory Booker and Kamala Harris because they're black. Doesn't mean you can't criticize them. How about you criticize those scissors? And how about you do something productive?
Hey, how you guys doing? This is LaRon. Hope you're having a beautiful day. So I'm pretty sure everyone's seen or heard about Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey's 25-hour speech on the Senate floor. Me personally, I think that's a hell of a feat. I mean, Buddy's standing there for 25 hours just yapping. Like, I mean, it's kind of cool. And so while we've seen the praise for Cory Booker's, I guess, defiance against the Trump administration, we've also seen the criticisms. And while, listen, Cory Booker, he's a politician. You know, he's taken certain stances that I do not support. And I think it's valid to criticize any elected official. The problem is that when you start to make these sort of race-based attacks against Cory Booker, that's when it's not valid. Like, for example, I've seen people who are not black say things such as, oh, well, all skin folk and kinfolk, and, well, I guess you can be pro-black and pro-genocide. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, look, if Cory Booker was not black, would you be saying those things? Probably not. Secondly, all skin folk and kinfolk, that's a phrase that is within the African American community. So for another group to say that about a black man is disgusting, and it's wrong. Finally, the criticism of Cory Booker from that vantage point, I believe, is that there's a belief that black folks are supposed to fight for everyone else's issues, right? And so when we sort of deviate, then it becomes a problem. Then we are sellouts or whatever. But those type of criticisms are never volleyed at anyone else. So again, if you're going to criticize Senator Booker, and I have a lot of criticisms of him, criticize him on his policies, not on his race.
You wannabe mullet-wearing, non-binary version of Harvey Spoiled Milk who has the real Harvey Milk turning in his grave. Nobody thinks Cory Booker is God. Nobody thinks Cory Booker is the second coming. Fun fact, Cory Booker isn't even liked that much in the black community. I'm sorry that this needs to be explained to you, but holding up the Senate for 25 hours, blocking any and all bills from being voted on for 25 hours, just to take 25 hours to criticize and tear down our president and his administration and all the BS they've done, that's worth being praised. I'm sorry that needs to be explained to you, but that's worth being praised. That's worth being celebrated. No, it doesn't glaze over every bad thing that Cory Booker has done.
Misplaced priority. The problem with this people is that they feel like they owe black people, and for that reason, black people are supposed to do anything and everything they say, forgetting that it's just a different era, right? Now, see, I do not have problem with people criticizing somebody, but when you are doing it in order to get black people's attention, or in order to denigrate black people, that is where I have a problem with you, because as it stands, you actually have a problem with black people, because all this while you are part of the people that actually told your followings not to vote for Kamala Harris, right? Because she is not a good candidate. You all went and voted for third party. Now, I am not seeing you people call the third party to come and do filibuster and all that. The only black man that actually took up his time to do this for 25 hours plus is still not good enough, because it has always been in your DNA to let us understand that there is nothing good about us. This is what you people think. But this is just a soft reminder that you are going to see more of black people, and I hope you are seeing it. You are seeing Jasmine Crockett, and the rest of them. I appreciate how far they have been standing all up on all these things going on. See, this is also a very good opportunity for white women to just back off in what is going on with black people as they stand. Just back off. We know where you are coming from. We see your racism. We recognize it. And we are still telling you to back off. Leave black people alone, because I do not see them bothering you. But you all wake up every day to look for a way to drag them into without your sponge wig, because that is what soft, hard life wig, because that is what it's called. Without your wig or whatever your hair it is, whichever one. But white women, what is it with you people? You people voted against your own interest. Or like the woman said, I am not seeing you people creating awareness over what is going on, because Gaza, they are almost going to be displaced sooner than later. Then Yemen has been boom, boom, boom. Like, what is the color of you people's problem? That is to tell you how horrible majority of you are, but you all are not quick to say it. You all think you are good. Unfortunately, you are also part of the bad eggs. And you all need to, you know what? You all need to be redefined and refined before coming out to look for a way to talk to a black man for doing a filibuster that that is very impressive. Is he a politician? Of course, he is a politician. And just back off. And when black people say enough, just listen and stop talking. We don't want to hear. Bye for now.